I want to explain something we have seen in a past episode, which is events that happen only sometimes. To achieve this, we use the random function with a number here, and we compare this random number with another number. For our example, let's just use here 100. So we get a random number between 0 and 100. And then what happens when we use the value 50, for example? So I will draw here a line. This line is a line that contains all numbers between 0 and 100. And here in the middle is the value 50. And we are asking the question, is a random number greater than 50? So you can see this, since 50 is exactly in the middle, half of the times, imagine here, you're getting just all these random numbers, but not in order, sometimes here, here. These numbers can be anything like 2, 73, 5, 11, 38, 68, and you see, and for each case you ask the question, is it greater than 50? So half of the times you will get numbers that are greater than 50, and half of the times you get numbers that are below. So when we ask the question, is a random number between 0 and 100 above 50, 50% of the time it is. So we get a 50% probability. And this is the same like flipping a coin. Flipping a coin and finding out if we got one side or the other. We could say that this part on the left is one side, side A, and the part on the right is side B. So when you flip a coin, half of the times you get one side, and half of the time you get the other side. What happens when we change this number, this 50? So let's go now to, I don't know, 85, for example. I will write it up here. And you ask the question, is a random number between 0 and 100 greater than 85? So most of the times it will not be, because you can see there's much more space here on the left than on the right. Only a few numbers are bigger than 85 when we are talking about numbers between 0 and 100. Only 86, 87, 90. So you see that only a bunch of numbers are above 85, and most of the numbers are below. So we have a low probability in this case. This would be a probability of 15%. 15% probability. And this is an unlikely event. Unlikely. Or you could also call it rare. So this is something that happens not very often. So you can see that changing this number, the number we compared to, you can achieve events that happen more or less frequently. Let's put one more example. Let's try here with the value 10. And we ask the question, is our random number between 0 and 100 greater than 10? So you can see most of the times it will be. Most of the numbers between 0 and 100 are above 10. Only a few numbers are below 10. So this gives us a very high probability, 90% probability. So this is very likely. So we will now test these numbers on our program so you see it running. So let's try now our events that happen only sometimes. I start here with this program. I already have this set up. I define the size of the screen. We'll start with a black background, white lines, and I start drawing something. So let's draw some lines that move from left to right. And for that, we will need a variable float x to know where exactly we should draw our line. And we will start at 0. So this will be the left border of the screen. And here I will draw a line from the X position that is in the variable. So we start at 0. And let's draw it in the middle of the screen, because it's 200 is the half of the height of the screen. And let's draw a vertical line. So the same X, and maybe to position 100, which is 100 pixels above this position. And this should work already, but we are not changing the X. Let's increase our X. So we see this moving. Here we see this. These are the lines, many lines drawn one after the other. And now it gets out of the screen. So we should maybe control that when if the X is greater than the width of the screen, then let's jump back to the left border. Even right now, we will not notice the difference because it's just drawing white all the time. So what could we do now? Let's change the stroke color. Let's change it sometimes. So for that, here we have done all this. We have drawn the line. We moved 1 pixel to the right. We check we are still inside of the screen. Otherwise, we jump to the left border. Now let's do what we have seen here in our example. Compare a random number with another value. So random 100, is that greater than 50? Let's start with this value. In that case, we will change maybe the color of our line, which is right now black. No, sorry, which is right now white. It's right here. I will write here a comment. Sometimes we change here the line color. If this happens, this will happen sometimes, then how can we choose between white and black? So we should add another condition, a similar one. If random 100 is greater than 50, then we choose one color, maybe black. And we can use else statement. I think this is the first time we do that. The else part, what's here inside the braces, is only executed when the condition is not true. So let's see how this is read. This means give me a number between 0 and 100, and if this number is greater than 50, then make the line color black. Otherwise, make the line color white. All these lines here only execute when this condition was true. So sometimes we decide to change the line color. And now we decide something else. Now we decide if to use black or white. So let's see the effect of this program. You can see here now it's sometimes it's changing the color. Why not change the color for every single line? Because the effect would be very different. So let's try that out. Now I will remove this line. This means that the following lines will be executed always. After drawing each line, it will decide the next line should be black or white. And I have to also remove this brace, which belongs to this instruction here. So now we have a program where for every line is changing the color. We have less control because we cannot change the width of those lines. Let me show you that. If I have here the control to decide, do I want to change the color or not? I can make it more unlikely. So I make it 90. As we saw here, well, this is like the case with 85 or 90. It's a low probability. Not many numbers are above 90. So very rarely it will change the color. What happens now? You see, sometimes it's changing the color, but rarely. So the normal thing to do is continue drawing with the same color until sometimes it decides to flip. I think this would look nicer switching to white background. Background 255. So now it will look like a paper and like a barcode maybe. Well, the lines are too thick for a barcode, so we can try lowering this so we make it more likely to change the color. And this reminds pretty much to a barcode.